Well, good evening, everybody. All 40 or so of you. Wow, nice early crowd. Good to see you. I've been watching the chat here. I'm Mitch, just an old guy, and figuring out which buttons to push. You know, I opened my deal up a little different than most people do. I have a camera that shows off the whole stupid studio, just so the people who come here early can actually have some idea of what it takes to really do one of these live streams. And because I used to do a lot of them in the drone, when I had my drone channel, I really put together this setup, and it makes it real nice. And I just have to be careful because I'm such a techie that I like doing all kinds of fancy stuff, and I think sometimes I overdo it. So I try very hard in this austere crowd not to over tech the live stream, but with a lot of gimmicky stuff. But I could do it if I wanted to. So let's see. We got 50 people here already. Wow, it's quite a start. It's quite a start. Let me see who's here. I said hi to a couple of you, but then my typing skills are terrible. Shayna Spillers, Bill MC, how you doing? One Hope for All is here. Lynn Adele, how are you? Richard Williams from Copper Hill, Tennessee. Richard, how you doing? Is your name really Richard Williams? Amy Schaefer's here. Sylvia Machek. Wayne Rednauer. Amy Joe, how are you? Carlos is sitting in the back room, back from the sky. Jeff Fulls is here. Richard Lees. I said hi to Shayna's already. Carnivore Journey, how are you? From Bentonville, Arkansas. Good to see you. Jack Rabbit, one of the FPV guys, is here. That's FPV for those of you that don't know what that means. It means first person view. And that's when you fly the racing drones with the goggles on, and it's as if you're actually in the drone. So they call that FPV, first person view. Where did I leave off here? Susie Kirby, COA 106, how you doing? Amy Jo, question, ways to deal with the little sugar craving after a meal. Short answer, eat some bacon, eat a little more meat. By the time you get done eating enough meat, you shouldn't have any craving. So that's a good sign that you haven't eaten quite enough yet. So eat a little more. Craving should go away, or just, be big and strong and say, I'm not going to do it. I'm working too hard at this carnivore thing. Jack Rabbit, how you doing? Sylvia Mach, I got you. Fabian Kroger, Freedom Fanny's here. Janet Cook, how are you? CAT from Ottawa, Canada, how you doing? Fury Smith, Kathy Ho, how you doing? Margaret Brower, M7974 from Florida. Fellow Floridian here. Randy K is here. Cab Lemmy, how are you? Victoria Ortiz, Martin Nierwinski. I think I got that right. K, that's easy. Dave DeSaunier, how you doing? Question, any experience making ghee? I made my first batch today from 4 sticks of butter. Man, some good stuff. No, I haven't. Maybe you can share with us how you did that. But no, I buy that stuff off Amazon. It's supposed to be pasture raised, grass fed, hand massaged cows. So it should be pretty good stuff. Shayna says, go for a walk after dinner. Amy Jo. Yeah, I've been working on a self-talk. Thanks. Victory is here. Michael Johnson, addicted to antlers. How you doing? Man, you and Craig Smith need to get a room someday. You guys are just going at it too hot and heavy here. Kablami, got you. Addicted to Russell Galarum, how are you doing? And I think I said hi to the rest of you guys, and that takes me to the bottom of the chat. So Good evening, everybody. 70 people here now. Holy cow. You know, I'm surprised. I was in the hour before the live stream. I went out on my back porch, turned on the TV, and was kind of paging through YouTube. And God bless it, all I saw was live streams from carnivore people. I said, wow, I got a lot of competition here. I mean, it's getting crazy, the number of carnivore channels out there. I mean, that's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. It's the more the merrier, but it's just full of people coming on that we've never seen. Of course, you know, most of you had never seen me up to, you know, a month and a half ago, but it's amazing. These people lost 250 pounds. It's absolutely crazy. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. And hopefully this little movement of ours is going to take off, because one of the things I want to talk about before we get to the questions. So I want to talk about what we're up against that out there. I went ahead and did a little Google experiment, and the stuff that came back, how wrong it all is. And it's from all these authority places, different universities and WebMD and all this. And I want to go over some of that with you. And it'll get to a point I'll make after I get done with my opening thing. And the first thing I need to open with is a quick disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I've told you that before. I'm not qualified, nor do I want to be, to answer questions about your medications or your blood tests. I may know the answers. I probably do, but you can't hear them from me. So my channel and everything that I put out there is based on what I've learned, what I've discovered personally, having been on and off diets for over 50 years, and finally found carnivore, and it works. And I've done a lot of deep thinking about why this is so much different than all the others. And I think I figured it out, and I'm trying to share it with you, hopefully to save you all 50 years of bouncing around like I did. So that's where my expertise, if any, comes from. And I suppose that you have to take everything I say with a grain of sand and weigh it against all the other stuff you hear. In most things, I agree 100% with most of the doctors out there on YouTube, the Ken Berries, the Sean Bakers, Anthony Chafee, many of the doctors and researchers. I'm in 100% agreement with them. And there's no really one way to do this that's going to work, because even though we're all human and we all have basically the same biology, there are so many different systems in the human body that can have slight differences in the way the chemistry works, and might affect the way you react to certain types of foods and other people don't. So in that respect, everybody has to fine tune this thing individually for them. And most of the advice that I do give is really aimed at carbohydrate addicts who are like me, and I think like most people who have not thought that they were or admitted it to themselves. That's the reason they fail time and time again, is the carbohydrate addiction. So the methods that I've come up with that enabled me to overcome the carb addiction are what I try to share with so many people. And it's why, although I think a ketogenic diet is a great thing, the pitfalls of a ketogenic diet are what used to ruin me time and time again. And that was any small amount of carbs triggered my addictions. And it wasn't until I just gave everything up that I had the success. And it's ongoing, and I have no cravings. I mean, none, zero, nada cravings anymore. I went to a little birthday party here a couple of weeks ago. They put the birthday cake on the table right next to the chair I was sitting in. And I sat in that chair and I watched everybody come up, take and eat a piece of cake. And I can honestly say I had no desire whatsoever to eat that cake. And that, my friend, is the miracle of the ages. So It worked for me. Doesn't mean it'll work for you. It's worth a try if you've been having a problem. I wanted to, I have some notes over here. So because I didn't want to miss anything, there were some things I wanted to go over, and I'll bring Carlos in and we'll try to answer some questions. I want to know, put it in the chat, just out of curiosity for me, how many of you are already on a keto or carnivore diet, or how many are thinking about starting a carnivore or keto diet? I'm curious. I just like to get a handle on the status of the people that I'm talking to here. So if you could type in the chat, that'd be great. I'd appreciate that. Carnivore 17 months today, 44 weeks in, John, yikes. Full carnivore, no plants, 2.5 years. Carnivore since July 7th. Yes, I'm 90. Okay, so we've got some veterans here. We've got some people here that aren't just starting out. Maybe we don't have to talk so much about the first 30 days. 100% carnivore, already on carnivore. Colonel Buckshot, carnivore chat, 100% carnivore. Janet Cook, carnivore 2 months. Susan Dunlap, week 5. Well, you should be pretty well into it, Susan. Sandra Henry, ketovore, 1.5 years. 90% carnivore. That's Troy. Jackrabbit. Well, Jackrabbit, good for you. 1 month carnivore. John Yikes, 4, not 44. Keto, working towards carnivore. COA 106. Addicted to antlers. Carnivore on and off for 1.5 years. Stay more on it there, my friend. Annie Schaefer, keto. Yeah, it's your bugaboo, best to avoid it. Okay. Jeff Fulls, since March, over 1.5 years. Ketovore, July 28th. Good for you. Starting carnivore tomorrow. Okay. Good luck, my friend. LMM, carnivore 2 months, 20 days in for me, 900 plus days. Michael Johnson, you've been at it longer than me. I've been keto longer than that, but I've been 13.5 months on pure carnivore. Randy K, 3 months. Ketogenic carnivore. Ming Ki. Carlos is keto. 7 months. Richard Williams. Tianopoulos started month 3 of carnivore. Low carb started March 2022. Is that Sunni or Sunny? I'm ketovore. You're ketovore. That's a fancy kind of ketovore. 11 years, Jay Danik. Wow. You're a veteran. We ought to bring you in here and I'll take the night off. Question, how do you clean your pans with all that melted fat so you don't clog your pipes? Well, you're talking to a guy that just ordered one of those plumber snake things that you use to clean your drain pipes. Even though I'm very judicious about not putting grease down the drain, they do get clogged up. But I'll tell you how I do it. And I just take an old tin can, okay? And I keep it under my sink. And when I'm done cooking hamburgers or anything that leaves a lot of grease in the pan, while it's still hot, I pour all the grease out of the pan. I take a spatula and scrape as much of it out as I can, a plastic spatula. And then I let it cool off. And then I just take a paper towel and I wipe out as much of the grease with the paper towel as I can. So by the time I get it to the sink to wash it, there's little or no grease left in it. That's how I do it. It is a problem. The bacon grease, I have one of these little, it's in the links of it's a bacon fat thing that filters the crumbs out of the bacon grease, and it's made out of stainless steel, and I just throw it in my refrigerator. And so that's not really a problem. Okay, well, thanks for answering those questions. I appreciate that. We're off to a big start here this morning, or this evening. Wow. I want to talk real quick about what we're really up against out there in the world. What rebels we are eating this way. You got to know this by now, but if you do a little exercise and start looking things up, you will be absolutely flabbergasted how much misinformation is out there about a carnivore or an extremely low carb diet. There is so much misinformation that is literally taken as fact and gospel by the entire, with the exception of a few rebel doctors, the entire medical community, virtually all of the universities that teach medicine, the universities that have hospitals that practice medicine, with I think one rare exception, and that's Duke University, where Westman has a keto clinic and has been doing it for 20 years. How he gets away with that, I don't know. But when you see the crap that comes out of these universities, it is mind-boggling. And I need to do a little shuffling of windows around on my computer here. So if you bear with me just a second, I want to show you something here. And I'm going to pull up. Oh, foo, hold on. Let me go to, this is where I'm not as slick as if I had a producer myself, but let me do this and let me move this over here. That's not what I want. I want this. I want to make it big, and you should see me and this article here. What did I do? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I had all of these links all ready to go, and I don't know where they went. So let me do this. Let me. This is professional show business. I always tell you that it's professional show business. Get that big, and let's go to a new tab. And I have the link over here. So let me copy this link and see if I could actually get this up here. Okay, this is Tufts University's website. I don't know how much of this stuff is copyrighted. I'm hoping I don't get a copyright strike for showing you this, but this is not the page that I want. This is what happens when I plan ahead. I should never plan ahead. I should just be off the cuff. Here we go. Have you all seen this yet? The thing they call the food compass. Have you seen that yet? This is still not the one I want. Hang on. Here it is. This is what I want right here. This is the updated food compass scores from Tufts University. And this is the way the rocket scientists that work at Tufts University decided to put this out. And it is a chart of what they consider the healthiest foods on the planet that you should be eating, and the worst foods that you should never eat. Okay. So all the ones in the green are foods that they say should make up the majority of your diet. And that is kale, watermelon, orange juice with calcium, frosted mini wheats, unsweetened almond milk, non-fat frozen yogurt, sweet potato fries, chocolate covered almonds, honey nut Cheerios, and dates. I know. Now, down the list in the you can eat in moderation are egg substitute, not real eggs, mind you, fried in vegetable oil. God forbid you use butter. Sweet potato chips, millet, whole wheat bread, skinless chicken breast, probably the least nutritious protein that you can find. Lucky Charms cereals. Now, I see 2 cereals actually mentioned by name in this. Lucky Charms and Honey Nut Cheerios. It wouldn't surprise you to find out where the funding for this study came from, would it? Canned pineapple and heavy syrup. Now we get down at 48 to a boiled or poached egg, whole milk. Oh, I love this one. Almond M&Ms, non-fat mozzarella cheese, ice cream cone with nuts. And now we get to the food you should never let touch your lips. A whole egg fried in butter, cheddar cheese, and at the bottom of the list, the worst food on the planet Earth for human beings, ground beef. Now, I don't know how you feel when you read that, but that just torques me no end. It just pisses me off. I can't believe that a university could actually publish something like this and expect anybody out there with half a brain to take it seriously. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Let me take a second here now that I'm done shuffling screens all over the place. Let me look in the chat and see if anybody's actually reacted to that. Shayna said, idiots. That's horrible. Carnivore Journey, I get mad too. And people believe it though. And that is the problem. This is Tufts University. This university is very well known for its nutrition department. That's one of the things it's most known for is their nutrition research, and they evidently got funded by all the big food companies, and they put this thing out, and I haven't seen any retractions yet of it. I haven't seen them take it back and say no, just kidding, folks. We don't really think that Honey Nut Cheerios are healthier than ground beef for a human being. But this is what we're up against. And the money and the corruption and the status quo of the medical and big food businesses are such that it's approaching $5 trillion a year now. $5 trillion. Sandra McDonald says, why is there no sound? Do we have sound? I guess we do. I haven't seen anybody else. Sound is on, Sandra. Okay. Don't do that to me. I may have pushed the wrong button. It is so corrupt. It is so corrupt. It's unbelievable. And how many good people like those of us here right now, how many really good people that care about their health, that have tried all their lives to get healthy, lose weight, not end. I just watched a video that Sean Baker put out not an hour ago, where he talks about when he had to amputate this diabetic's leg and how disturbing that was to him. How many of those people have been put off by the propaganda that's spread everywhere, including from your own doctor's mouth, that says red meat will kill you, saturated fat will give you a heart attack, you need to eat all this other crap like Tufts University says, and just don't dare eat any eggs or beef because you'll never make it. Meanwhile, I see, and you see it along with me, video after video after video after video and testimonial after testimonial of people that have actually come back from the dead almost and turn their health and their lives into healthy, normal, living human beings. Oh, but their LDL went up. I know mine is sky high. I don't care. I've spent so much time and energy researching the actual biochemistry of lipoproteins that I know why exactly my lipoproteins are that high. I'm up there with Ken Berry. His LDL is 250. Mine is at 280. My doctor has a heart attack every time I go in to see her. But I'm not having any heart attacks. That's the amazing part. My high LDL gives my doctor heart attacks. Now that to me is amazing. But I think I've got her coming around. Every time I go in there, I go once a year for a physical. I take her another study that shows the proof that, especially if you're over 60, the higher your LDL is, the more likely you're going to live longer. And stop going to see that doctor. Yeah, Lynn. It's the VA. I go to the VA. She's not really a doctor. She's a PA or a nurse practitioner, one or the other. She knows her stuff. She's pretty good. And she knows me now after all these years. I've been seeing her for like 8 or 9 years now. And she knows me. And what happens is we usually end up in conversation. It's funny. We end up in conversation so long that they start knocking on the door, telling her that she's got like 6 people waiting out there. Is she almost done? Because I start lecturing her about the real science, and she is like a student, and she hangs on my words, and that's gratifying to me. And she does not dispute what I say. And when we're all done, she'll say something like, well, if I want to keep my job here at the VA, I have to write down in your record that I suggested that you take a statin and that you refused. I said, fine, I don't care. And that's unfortunately the hammer that these people have to operate under. They've got all of the government making all the rules, the standard of care, what they have to do, and invite this P over there. Yeah. And you've heard stories of some of these practitioners on YouTube, some of these nutritionists that basically have a little flyer they made up, and in their consultation they spew the industry line, and then on the way out they hand the patient this flyer and say, you may want to read this, it's interesting. And in that flyer it tells them basically everything I just told you is bullshit, here's what you really should do. And I think we're seeing more and more of that. The problem is turning the ship around at a high level, and that's not likely to happen anytime soon. It took 60, 70 years to wind this all up to this ridiculous point. Unfortunately, this country couldn't withstand everybody going carnivore tomorrow. Half the country would lose its jobs. The other half would starve to death because there's not enough cows to feed everybody right now. So it has to unwind itself. And the only way it's ever going to do that is if we do it and show them that it works, and we're not dropping like flies from heart attacks. Something you very rarely ever see is a carnivore dropping from heart attacks. It's the people following all their advice that are getting sicker and sicker. And damn if they don't keep coming up with new drugs on a daily basis. It's absolutely incredible to me, the excuses they invent. And the newest one, of course, is Ozempic and Lugol, the GLP-1 agonist weight loss drugs that originally were invented for diabetics, and nobody knows what the long-term effects are of these things. They've just started using them for this. From what I've read and seen, it doesn't look good. The outcomes from these things a few years down the road are basically going to be a bunch of people with trashed metabolism that are stuck on these $1,000 an injection drugs for life, because the minute they might stop taking it, they will start eating everything that doesn't move, and their metabolism will never speed back up again, much like the contestants from The Biggest Loser contest. Those kids that went through that torture, lost all that weight. Not only did almost all of them gain it all back and more, but for the rest of their life, they have to live with a metabolism that probably will not recover, and they'll have to restrict the amount of food that they eat for the rest of their life. Okay, that's enough of that. It's important. And the reason I'm putting out these videos about the history of how we got this ridiculous information, I've gotten up to John Harvey Kellogg. Next on the agenda is going to be Ansel Keys, which is probably one of the most major players in the government going in the direction it has, and the food pyramid and all of that ridiculous advice. That's going to be the next video in about a week or so. I wanted to say that I have to cut back on trying to personally answer every comment on all these videos. It's just at a point now, it's too much for me to do. I try to read them all, but it is a full-time job. Most of the really big YouTube guys, they have staff to do that. They have staff to do their editing. I don't have staff. I have Mitch, and I love doing it, but the channel, this little channel of mine, is growing, and it's getting to a point. So if you put a comment, if you really want to get my attention, you can always send me an email. My address is in all my videos. It's oldguycarnivore@gmail.com. And I can't give you advice. I can't play doctor, but if there's something you want to say and you want to make sure I read it, send me an email and I'll get to it. I promise you. I was going to do, we're a half hour in already. I was going to do a little something for you tonight, but I'll save it for next week. And it's something you might want to do just for your own satisfaction, so that you know just exactly what you're up against. If you start talking to people about what you're doing, God forbid you should try to get anybody else out there to actually do this. This is not a diet that you can take to people, no matter how well-meaning you are or how much you care about it. I know. I have people out there, especially at the gym where I go, that when they see me coming, they run the other way. And they tell people, don't, whatever you do, don't talk to that guy about diet, because he'll never stop. And I got told off a couple times. I mean, I got insulted a couple times by some people. Mind my own business. Yeah, I hear you bloviating over there all the time. I'm not interested. You're killing yourself. You'll hear that stuff, and it's very hurtful. Even and there's one particular guy at the gym I go to that has Crohn's disease. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of testimonials out there and videos from doctors like Chafee and Berg. How many people have literally stopped the Crohn's? Anthony Chafee even said cured. He used the word cured, Crohn's disease. It's an autoimmune condition, and there's no better way to cure an autoimmune condition than go on an all-meat diet for a while and see what happens, because Crohn's is not a disease. It's not a sickness. It's not caused by a bacteria or some foreign invader. It is a poisoning by some substance that your gut reacts to. And it's a horrible thing. Now, this guy's a young guy. He's probably 50 years old. That's young to me. He's had Crohn's for 25 years. I found out about his Crohn's because he almost knocked me over in the locker room one day at running for the bathroom. And he yelled out as he was running, "Sorry, Crohn's." So when he came back out of the bathroom, I said, and I mentioned to him, I said, there's a lot of people who've been eating the carnivore, and he went off on me. I haven't been talked down to like that since I was 12 years old. He gave me a lecture. How dare I tell him about Crohn's disease? Crohn's disease has no cure. It never has, and it never will. I have the finest team of doctors from Johns Hopkins University. So I'm not interested. And I mean, and the guy was just literally, would you tell somebody in a wheelchair that they could walk again? That's absolutely cruel of you. I couldn't believe the beatdown that this guy gave me, the verbal beatdown that this guy gave me. Him and his team of doctors, they've already cut out 1/3 of his colon. He's still got some colon left. And he is so adamant that I'm talking about witchcraft here and not something that has been proven to work. So I just said, fine, good luck. But it really shook me. And from that day on, I have not said one word to anybody outside of this community about the possibilities of what you can fix on a carnivore diet. I know that they told me the rheumatoid arthritis that I had in every joint in my body, so bad sometimes I could not tie my shoes, so bad that I went to the VA hospital in Orlando, and I had four rheumatologist doctors in the room with me trying to figure out why I had so much pain in every joint of my body I could hardly move. 2 weeks on carnivore, I was gone. completely gone. And if you'd ever see me working out in the gym, you would say, how the hell could that guy have had arthritis that bad? Gone. Everything from kidney stones, my kidney stones cleared up. I mean, my list of what went away just by going on a carnivore diet is something that medical profession doesn't want to hear. Because if everybody went on this diet, we'd put them all out of business, which would be a bad thing. Jack Rabbit says, bitter old man. Yeah. Well, he's talking to me now. He not about diet, but I went and apologized to him the next time I saw him in the gym. I said, listen, I didn't mean to upset you. I was just trying to help. Well, but okay. And we didn't talk for about a month. Now, all of a sudden, he's acting like my new best friend. So I don't know, maybe he found out something about carnivore and realized I was trying to help him, but I will not talk to him about anything health related anymore. I had to learn my lesson. And I'm sure that all of you out there have run into, maybe not something as violent as that, but I'm sure that all of you have run into the same reaction when you want to share something that you found that has done these miraculous things for your life that wasn't hard to stick to. I've never been on a diet where I didn't feel like I was always tortured or depriving myself or wanting something I couldn't have. That doesn't happen on this. That's the amazing part of it. You become very happy and satisfied with this limited range of foods that you eat. They stay delicious. You look forward to them. You almost crave them instead of this garbage. And when you look at that other food, after you've been on carnivore a while, it disgusts you. And when you look at people eating this other food, you want to go up and slap them in the face. But you can't do that. They don't know. Everything they're hearing is to the contrary. And like I said, if you want to have a little exercise, go in there and Google these 3 sentences. Is the carnivore diet any good? What harm is there in the carnivore diet? And then at the end, I Googled, what are the benefits of the carnivore diet? And that was the one that actually got me some good information, okay, about the carnivore diet, where they actually listed the benefits of it. But no matter what you read from almost any source, there's always a caveat at the end, a however. You always hit the however. There are no medical studies proving that this works. And it's widely known that eating that much red meat and that much animal fat will cause heart disease and heart attacks. And they always put that in, no matter how glowing a report they give the carnivore diet. There's always the however at the end. And when you Google things, they give you a list of other questions you might want to ask. So you start clicking on some of those other questions. They're variations of your question. And the stuff you'll find out is amazing. My point from all this is the single biggest spoiler of what we're doing is all of that erroneous and fraudulent advice from 99% of the people out there that really believe it, especially the doctors. Until you understand as deeply as I've learned that where all that stuff came from, why the studies that they use to bolster their arguments are fraudulent and bogus and conflicted, and you become so certain that it's all nonsense, and you gain the conviction that what you're doing is right, and you can stop worrying about the fact that your doctor's telling you you're going to die of a heart attack because your cholesterol's too high. Once you've learned everything there is to learn about cholesterol, you know that isn't true. And no, there's no studies, because it's impossible to do studies like that. In order to do studies, real studies that prove causality, you have to take, like Bart Kay says, you got to take identical twins. You got to lock them up at birth in separate rooms. You got to make sure that everything that happens to them in their entire life is identical. And you got to keep them confined until they die. The only difference between the two is one of them eats meat, one of them doesn't. And then when one of them dies, you can say, well, the guy who ate meat died first or last. We can't do studies like that. It's impossible. And that's a true randomized controlled trial. Now, the studies that they all use for their proof, their science, are epidemiological studies based on questionnaires that they ask people who may lie or may not lie, are full of biases and conflicts, are funded basically by the companies that are trying to prove that they're right, like the cereal companies, and that the meat eaters are wrong. So none of that stuff is any good. And the closest thing we have in our community to fact and truth are the anecdotal testimony of all of these people like me, who you can look at and you can see these people are healthy. These people are in good shape. These people are not sick and they're not dying like flies. And when you see 1,000 or 2,000 or 10,000 of them, to me, that's equals any study, because it's real and it's happened. So I hope that you all maintain the confidence to do that. And I'll stop going on about that right now, because that's enough of that. One more thing. I got a comment in one of the videos today, and it was a nice guy who basically said that I forget what it was that he ate or something, when he fried his eggs in butter or something like that, he started to get some chest pains. And I can't address anything like that. And if you ever write something like that, tell me about a symptom you're having. You can be sure you're going to get one response from me, and that's, if it persists, you got to see your doctor. And God, I hate to send people to doctors, but I can't advise anybody on that. And I wish I could. Michael Blade, how you doing? Good to see you too. All right, here's what I want. We're going to do some questions, if I can answer some questions for you. So if you have a question for me, type question in all caps, and I'll look for it. I'm going to scroll back through the chat here real quick and see if I can find anything where somebody asked a question. Let's see. I don't see any. Maybe I already answered everybody's questions. Pardon the silence while I read. I think it's time for a sip of my very sophisticated San Pellegrino. I mix my electrolytes with this stuff. Makes them bubbly. I like that. Question. Okay, hang on a second. I'm going to put it up there if I can find it in this other chat here. Where is it? Question. There it is. Okay. You said that chicken breast is not good. I didn't really understand that. I like to fry chicken breast in butter. Is that okay? Yeah, it's okay. The goal of, chicken is fine. Chicken breast is fine. The only thing the reason I said it's probably the least nutritious of all the different things you could eat on carnivore is because there's very little fat in it. And the goal of carnivore is to get 70% of your calories, or about 50% by weight, of what you eat from fat. So when you eat something like chicken breast, you have to make sure somehow, like frying it in butter, or making sure that you're eating something else that has a lot of fat with it, because you need to get the fat. That's the hardest thing, I think, for a lot of people that are doing carnivore, is making sure they get enough fat. As far as what I understand about chicken is it has a lot of nutrition, but it does not have the dense nutrition and virtually everything that you need in it like fatty red meat has. So in that respect, I eat chicken once a week or so. I like chicken thighs. I put them in the air fryer. I like chicken wings just because there's something different. But I always leave the skin on the chicken because that's where the fat is. So if you're going to get a chicken breast, yeah, get one, but get one with the skin on it. Fry up the skin. That's the best part of the whole chicken, and that's where the fat is. So yeah, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Question. If you don't own who's this from? Mary Simpson. If you don't own a sous vide, any other way to produce similar results? Yeah. It's a lot more work, but you can bake the meat in the oven. Oh, many Canadian viewers here want to thank you. We love your energy and passion. Wow. Thank you, Kat. Thank you so much. This is an occasion, guys. That's my first ever super chat. I thank you very much. It really helps too. This little YouTube adventures cost me a lot more money than I thought it was going to. So that helps. I appreciate it. You can put your meat in the oven, okay? On not maybe 250, 275 degrees, and just keep checking it with a meat thermometer of some kind until it gets up to a temperature, an internal temperature of around 130, which is what a medium rare steak is. And then you can sear it off. A lot of people do that. Put it in the oven. In fact, I just saw a video from Carnivore Quest. You know, Carnivore Quest. They're on YouTube. Larry and what's her name? I forget. Anyway, they did a video today about. It said something like, do this and your steaks will come out twice as good. And what they did was they basically heated it in the oven until it reached an internal temperature of about 120 or 125, and then they seared it both in a cast iron pan and on a barbecue grill. And that's the way I always cook all my meat. I always sear my meat. And wow, count me in as your next. Thank you so much, Lynn. I appreciate that. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel good. And I'll get to eat tomorrow too. Wow. And here I was. Nah, I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't ask you guys for anything. I do appreciate anything that comes my way, but I don't ask. I have turned down already more than a dozen advertisers that have written me to push their products on my channel. I won't do that. I don't like that. Another thing that I don't want to subject all you guys to is a pitch every time I start a YouTube video. Like it, subscribe, click the notification. You'll never hear that from me. I don't. To me, when I hear that, I usually click off a video right then. If somebody asks me for a subscription before I even watch the video and have any idea whether I want to even know them or not, that's a little presumptuous, and I don't like that. I'll never do that stuff. So I appreciate that. So if you don't own a sous vide machine, you can definitely heat it up. You can definitely heat it up that way. You could. The problem is you want to make sure you don't overcook it that way, which is why you don't want to use a really hot oven. And it might take a little while if you're not using a really hot oven. The benefit of a sous vide is it sits in there for 2 hours and it cooks so thoroughly through to the exact temperature that it's going to be perfectly medium rare from wall to wall. And then you throw a quick sear on it in a super hot pan and you get a little bit of that crunchy outside crust on it. And that's how they do it in some of the finer restaurants. And you can't screw it up either, which is nice when you got a $20 ribeye. You know, it's heartbreaking to overcook a $20 ribeye. So I use my sous vide machine a lot. The air fryer is a good way to cook a steak. I've done it a couple times. I like sous vide better. Or I sear it first and I use the meter digital thermometer, the Bluetooth thermometer, and then I sear it off raw, and then I throw it in a a 400-degree oven until the internal temperature comes up to 130 degrees. And I know it because I'm monitoring it on my cell phone. I did a video about that, and that works great too. There's a lot of simple ways to cook a perfect steak without worrying about screwing it up. Sometimes you need a little equipment. Sometimes might be $50 or $100 investment in something, but you'll use it for years and years and years. And if it saves you from ruining 3 or 4 $20 steaks, it's paid for itself. It's paid for itself, believe me. So thank you very much. That's right. Randy K, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that, my friend. I appreciate all you guys. I look forward more than you know to these Tuesday night things. And before too long, I'm going to start trying to figure out a way to bring some people in here, maybe even some famous people, maybe some just average everyday people like me who are dieting all their life, and we can sit and just get to know each other and talk. I'd really like that. Now the problem is I have to find that question again that I highlighted so I can get it off of there. Unbelievable. Bear with me a second. Listen, guys, if I ever get too smooth at this, you tell me, okay? Because I don't want to get too smooth at it. Oh my God, look at all the things that came in since that one. Where is it? There it is. Boom. All right. Okay. I'll tell you what, I got Carlos sitting out there somewhere. Let me bring Carlos in because he's been sitting there waiting for me, and it's almost 8 o'clock already. So let me bring in Carlos without further ado. And there he is. Let me unmute. Unmute your mic, Carlos.
I did.
Okay. Why? There you go. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone. I have some questions that I've written down.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me have it.
First one was from Jack Rabbit. How do you feel about zero sugar Gatorade?
Well, it's going to have artificial sweetener in it. So the first thing I would say, most of the products that come out of those companies, I think Coca-Cola owns them all, or Pepsi, but they traditionally aren't using stevia. They're using aspartame or one of those sweeteners that I personally wouldn't use. I would try to get a good electrolyte drink mix. If you want something a little bit sweet, believe it or not, I use the Dr. Berg stuff. And there's a link to it down in the show notes. Carlos has bought some. I use it. I'm not a Dr. Berg fan, but this product seems to have what I want in it. And it does. Carlos, last week you talked about calcium. It does have calcium in it too. So it has everything. I mean, I've been using it. It's been great. So
I bought the
it has a little stevia in it, and I mix it 1 scoop to 1 bottle of San Pellegrino, throw a bunch of ice cubes in it, and it's a tremendously refreshing drink. Tastes good. I drink 1 a day. I found it. I was taking 2 a day, but I started to notice that right before I went to bed, nothing that noticeable, but I could swear that my ankles were a little bit puffy. I was retaining some fluids. Okay. Not so much that anybody noticed, but I noticed, because usually when I look at my ankles, it is skin on bone. There is no fluid down there. I've never had an edema problem. And I said, well, I'm just probably getting too much salt. So I cut the electrolyte drink back to 1 a day, and I've never seen that puffiness again in my ankles. So I think that you can get too much salt, and it does cause you to retain a little bit of fluid. Puffy ankles and swollen ankles generally indicate bad circulation. I think that I never had bad circulation, but I think I was retaining fluid. Randy K, did I thank you for the $2? Thank you so much, man. I think I did, but I definitely don't want to let one of those things go by and not say thank you.
Ready for my next one?
Okay, Carlos, what else you got?
Somebody, I forget, I think they just wrote it again. They would like for you to post a video on the rheumatoid arthritis and how you got over it and what you did.
I don't know what I did. I don't know how I got over it. I started eating meat and it went away. I mean, I didn't do anything in particular.
Right.
Says there's barely any salt, like 40 milligrams in Dr. Berg. I think there's more than that. I really do. Let me look it up here. Dr. Berg Electrolyte. There it is. And where's the nutrition label? Oh, already it's giving me a 10% discount. What do you know? Where's the nutrition label? Oh, come on. I know what Berg looks like. I don't need to see that. I want to see the nutrition label. I think I got on Dr. Berg's site here, which is not where I want it to go. I think it may be more. Here it is. Yes, it does. It says 40 milligrams. You're right. 40 milligrams of sodium. Well, it's not too much sodium. Maybe that wasn't what was doing it to me. Maybe I was just eating too much salt, but it has, well, this doesn't say the same thing. Oh yeah, potassium, 1,000 milligrams. That's why I bought this stuff, was for the potassium. 120 milligrams of magnesium. I take 400 a day in a capsule anyway. So, okay. I thought it had 1,000 milligrams of salt. Maybe that's the element that has that much salt in it. One of them does. Element is 1,000 milligrams, correct. And the Redmond Relay is 810. I salt everything that I cook to taste, and I'm pretty certain I get enough salt. Kablami, I sent you an email. Okay, I will look at my email after this, or he might have sent it to Jackrabbit. Okay. Google says 500 milligram of sodium in Dr. Yeah, who knows?
Next one.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on cheese? Actually, I'm sorry, before that, other than water and coffee, what else do you drink? Sorry.
Seltzer. Fizzy water. I feel real. I mean, you gotta feel special drinking something with a fancy label on it that they ship all the way from Italy for you. Somebody told me that Aldi has the same thing, the seltzer carbonated water is much, much cheaper. So last time I was at Aldi, I asked the guy where it is, and he says, oh, we that's not a regular item. We don't normally, we don't stock it regularly. So I said, okay, San Pellegrino it is. And I just like this stuff. And I try to stay hydrated, especially at the gym. While I'm working out, I'm drinking like crazy.
They're asking about a pressure cooker in your slew of cooking utensils.
I don't have one of them.
No?
I have so many small kitchen utensils. I got 2 air fryers. The first one I bought was one of those Cuisinart. It looks like a big toaster oven, but it's also an air fryer. The thing works great, but it's such a pain to clean. I just said, nah, this is too much work, because every time you cook something greasy in there, you have the whole inside. Whereas with the basket type air fryers, I just take the basket out, like in the Kasori. I put it in the sink. I fill it full of hot water, put a little dish soap in it, let it soak for a couple hours. And anything that's fried stuff from chicken wings that's on there, it just comes right off with a little sponge. It takes me 2 minutes to clean it up.
Ninja Foodie. Oops, sorry.
Say what?
I have the Ninja Foodie, the 4 or 5 in 1 that works well and cleans. That's the biggest thing. It's so easy
all of
to
those.
clean. I love it.
All of those things work great. I see Andre says you get plenty of magnesium from red meat. You get plenty of potassium from meat too. A strip of bacon of this Wright's thick bacon has like 80 or 90 milligrams of potassium per bacon strip. And I eat 4 to 5 strips of those most every day with 5 or 6 eggs. And I gotta be, and then I'll eat beef with that. The next meal will be either a steak or hamburger. I know I've told a lot of you this, but I look for the sales at Publix on prime rib. Around the holidays, around Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, they have sales of prime rib roasts. And they cut them up into maybe 5-6 pound, but you go to the butcher and you tell them, I want to buy the whole loin, and they'll bring the whole thing out. It's all wrapped up in plastic, and you can buy the whole loin. So I'll go in there and I'll buy 100, 150 pounds. One time, 200 pounds of that stuff. That costs some money, but you're going to be eating for a year on that. And I'll ask him to cut it into steaks for me, and he'll cut it. Has the bone on it, and I kind of like that. I like the ribeye with the bone on, because after you eat the ribeye, you got a bone to gnaw on. It's delicious. And I bought myself a little chest freezer. It cost $200, and it's chock full of ribeyes. And I'm still working on steaks I bought 6 months ago, and they're perfect. That stuff will keep a year easily in a deep freezer like that. And $5.99 a pound I paid for it. I think the last time they had it on sale was $6.99 a pound, but still, ribeye for $6.99 a pound. Some places charge more than that for hamburger, for ground chuck.
Yep.
So when that sale happens, if you really intend to stay on this, which I'm certain you all do. I know there's not a single one of you out there that has any intention of ever not continuing this, right? If you can afford to do it, just stock up on that stuff when it's on sale, because it costs, less than half of what they normally sell it for. I know Sam's is selling ribeye right now for about $14 a pound. So if you could buy it for $7 a pound or $6 a pound, you're eating ribeye for the price of hamburger. Okay, what's next? Did I answer that last question?
Yeah, I believe Dr. Berg. Somebody asked if Dr. Berg's is salty. I don't believe so.
It has stevia in it, and the stevia kind of hides the salty flavor. But any salt, whether it's potassium, they all exist in combination with other minerals, and they make salts like sodium chloride, potassium chloride, and they all taste salty. If I mix it with water and I dilute it a little bit, so it isn't, to make sure it's not too sweet, because I have to be careful. I get triggered by anything that tastes too sweet. I can taste a little tiny bit of salty taste coming through, but nothing that makes it unpleasant to drink. It's still good. I tried the unflavored, like electrolytes, like LMNT, the salty stuff, and I just, honest to God, I couldn't dilute them enough. I don't like drinking salt water. I know a lot of people like these mineral things, and so I can't do it. So I make that one concession. That's my one concession. That and coffee. Try to take my coffee away from me, you put your life in peril. Kat, thank you, my friend. Do you know some coffee is labeled torrefacto, is a process of roasting coffee that involves adding white sugar during the roast? I wouldn't be surprised. They put everything in it: coffee, salt. I get a lot of comments. I get some of the strangest comments on these videos that you guys can ever imagine. I don't know how many of you read them, but some of them are downright insulting. Some of them like to correct me. There's a couple of guys out there that just absolutely like to find fault. If I say something that maybe not 100% accurate, they're right on me. I got one guy that if I ever play a little background music in one of my videos, I get a lecture about stop doing that. It's not good. I can't understand the word, like I did that video with me walking in the park, and I threw a little kind of mood music in there because I'm a closet cinematographer. I like to make movies. I like to use music to create emotion. I put it in there in the background. 10 minutes later, I got a comment from this guy, stop with the music. I got one guy, when I put the monkey up here in the live stream, I got an email from him. Don't put the monkey. I mean, they tell me what to do. Like, they're in charge, like they're paying my salary or something. And it insults me. I don't ever engage with these people. I give them a nice heart. Yes, thank you for the comment. I will not engage with somebody that's rude. I won't engage with a troll for sure. I won't engage with a vegan. I get a few of them. I just, you have to ignore that. I can imagine how, and I'm a sensitive guy. I always have been. I get my feelings hurt very easily. And you're laughing, Carlos, but it's true.
Are you really?
Ask my kids. I'll get one of those things and I'll go off on a rant about it,
I didn't think so.
I have decided I'm going to do this, and I just have to let it roll off my back. And I got news for you. Since I became carnivore, I'm much more chill about these things than I used to be. It has really changed my personality, I guess, for the better, because I don't go off on this stuff. I try not to get stressed about anything. There's too much of that out there. Okay. What was the last question? What was the last question?
Well, the last one was the salty, but the one that I remember is dehydrator, and do you use one at all?
No, I haven't. And I've been watching all the dehydrator videos that have been coming out lately. I know Sean Baker made a couple. I think Ken Berry made one recently where they slice up meat real thin and dehydrate it and make, I don't know how crispy it gets, but it gets like jerky, I guess. Carlos was asking me about this a little earlier. What do I think of snacking? Because they're, and I told him I don't want to talk about it, but I'll say a few words about it. my opinion. For me, understanding digestive chemistry, you have to think of your digestion as being a cycle like a dishwasher. Okay. There's all these different steps that your body goes through in the digestive process to move that food from your mouth, down your throat, into your stomach, process it in your stomach, get it into the small intestines, process it there. It's a very energy intense process, which is why a lot of people, after they eat a big meal, they just feel sleepy and tired, and because their energy is being used to digest the food. And it takes an hour or two or three, depending on who you are and how much you ate. And anybody who is giving advice on digestive health will tell you, let your food digest before you put any more food in. And don't drink a lot of water while you're digesting your food, because you'll dilute your stomach acid and it won't do the job, and it won't break down the foods as much. And more of this unbroken down food will go from your stomach into your small intestine, and your nutrients will not get absorbed as well. And more of it will end up making its way down and out. So I've always tried to treat a meal as the beginning of a 2 or 2 hour or so cycle that my body's going to go through. Now, the way your body knows to start this digestive cycle is when food is introduced. So if an hour after you eat dinner, while your food is maybe still in your stomach or in the process of finally moving into the small intestine, you start adding more food, your body says, next meal, let's start that digestive cycle again. And I think that snacking close to a meal can disrupt the normal digestion, and I think that's not beneficial. I think you might end up not getting all the nutrients out of the food you ate that you could have. So in that respect, I don't think snacking is a good idea, and that thought is mirrored by most of the doctors on YouTube. I think that if you get a little hungry after you've eaten a meal, yeah, eat some more food, but hopefully it won't be that long after where you're going to start, maybe you can tack on to the end of the digestive cycle you're still in, but let your body digest the food. Wait an hour or 2 or 3 and eat another meal. So I don't snack personally. I do not eat a thing between meals. I eat 2 meals a day, generally 3.5 hours apart. I would eat OMAD. I do 1 meal a day, but I can't eat enough food at one sitting. I get too stuffed and I don't want to eat anymore. And I need more food than that. I eat over 2 pounds of food a day. And I weighed 138 pounds this morning. So 5'10", 138 pounds. Obviously, I'm not eating too much food. And I have great energy. I was at the gym at 5:30 this morning. I did a complete workout. At my age, I mean, I look at all the other guys that are younger than me in the gym that are sick and fat, and I want to go up. I want to help everyone. I want to tell every one of them, but I won't do that anymore because all I do is get in trouble doing that. Let's see what else we got.
The only other question was, oh gosh, I forgot now. Oh no, you just mentioned the dehydrator. Oh, somebody.
Oh, the dehydrator. I never answered that. Okay. I was, I watched the video. I watched Sean Baker's latest video. That guy can put out some videos, can't he? Man, I'm awestruck by that guy. I counted, I'm up to 6 today that he's put out. He doesn't make big productions out of them. He's got other people editing them for him. But I mean, every hour on the hour, he's got a 3-4 minute video out there. Good for him, man, because he's like the grandfather of this whole movement. For those of you that don't know, and I'm sure pretty much everybody knows, if it wasn't for Sean Baker, none of us would be doing this right now. He wrote the book called The Carnivore Diet, and just about everybody credits him with coining the name of this diet, the carnivore diet. And he's such a great asset. He's got this company that they started called Rivero Health, where they're going to do telemedicine nationwide with a group of doctors that are carnivore and keto oriented, where instead of people will be able to actually become a patient, and they're just getting the ball rolling. And that's going to be a tremendous, I hope he makes $1 gazillion out of it, because he's earned every penny of it. I have nothing but admiration for that guy. And I'm not just saying that because he's 6'5" and a monster either. He is an imposing guy, but he's a very knowledgeable guy. He's very committed to what he's doing, and any admiration that he has in this community is well deserved. He and Ken Berry both, and Anthony Chafee, those 3 guys were kind of like my inspiration when I first got into this. The Dr. Phil model of online medical, Richard Lee says, yeah, Sean is the man. Yes. Yeah.
You're pretty much my inspiration ever since I started doing those exercises. And I mean, I know you since 2019 or 20. And then I see you doing these push-ups and all these things. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to put you to shame, Carlos. You got to keep up with the old man.
I'm starting. I don't know.
I actually thought would be funny. I didn't do it, but during that, I might do it next week just for a grin. See how many people I can get to tune in early. Okay, what I do is I put up this. I put up this picture for a 5-minute countdown, and I start at 5 minutes before 7 o'clock. So I don't make anybody wait longer, but I thought people might like to for the 5 minutes before the show, play a little music and see that, and they can see what's going on in my studio here without actually like some people start the countdown at the time they're supposed to start, and then you got to sit and wait 10 minutes for the show to start. I don't do that, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to push my chair back in and get right here in front of the desk and do 20 or 25 push-ups while I'm waiting for the countdown timer to go down. Does anybody think that would be silly, or do you think?
I think that would be cool, personally.
You think it would be cool?
It would be inspired. You know why? Because Chafee and this guy Baker, they're in their 50s. You're a 70-year-old man doing this.
Yeah, I'm 76.
So that's
and I can legitimately start saying today that I'm almost 80 years old. I can start saying that. And you know why I can start saying that?
Because you are.
No. I mean, I don't think I'm almost 80 years old. I'm 76. I got, 3 years and some yet. Okay. Because today on a video, Sean Baker said, I'm almost 60 years old, he said. And he's 56.
Right.
Okay. So if he can claim to, say I'm almost 60, I could say I'm almost 80. I'm not going to be outdone by Sean Baker. Come on now.
I showed you those what were they? The chin-ups that I'm doing. I'm working on that. My goal is to do 10, and I'm 165, 168 pounds. You're
doing good, Carlos. Here, let me get myself back in the picture. You're doing good. Little
by little.
I need to start wearing muscle shirts like you're wearing.
This is just because it's warm and humid here.
I'm turning this into a real fashion show. I'm dragging my collection of tropical shirts out since that became a thing. You remember I used to wear every time I did a live stream, I had I have a closet full of these things. And the problem with them is, here, let me show you this. The problem with these shirts is they're all this big, because that's how big I used to have them, because I was big inside of them, and they're all like large, and none of them really fit me. I look like I'm wearing a tent, but from the shoulders up, they look pretty good, I think. What do you think?
That's what happened. I bought one just to be like you for the drone challenge.
I remember that.
It's like huge on me now.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Somebody saying hello. Christine Cooper, I'm sorry, from New Zealand says hello.
Wow, how you doing?
Pretty cool.
New Zealand. You're down, I think, isn't Bart K is from New Zealand.
Somebody asked me how old I am. I'll be 61 September 21st this year.
Oh, Craig Smith wants to see me do push-ups.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It inspires people, believe it or not.
Well,
let's put it this way, more than, in just my opinion, more than Sean Baker, who's younger and he looks like he's been doing it forever.
Well, he has been doing it. See, and I haven't.
That's what I mean.
I never got results in the gym. I worked out, but I never was able to. Something in my genetics. My son is the same way, and he came up with a slogan: SBD, SBG. It says "Screwed by Genetics." He had it. He was doing marathons for a while, and he was killing himself doing these things, and he kept saying his slogan was "Screwed by Genetics, working twice as hard to go half as fast." That was his slogan. He did it.
My mother's theory on basketball was she'd be more impressed seeing guys 5 foot, 5'6" playing basketball than these guys 6 and 7.
Yeah, well,
they're already halfway there.
Got a question here. Do I drink my coffee black? I do. I've always drank coffee black. My motto was, why would anybody want to screw up a perfectly delicious cup of coffee? And I tried. I gave it up. I said, okay, I'm going to try. Ken Berry did. He gave it up for a month or two. I gave it up. I didn't. It's not that I need the caffeine, because I was fine, but I didn't notice a single bit of difference. I didn't feel any different. I didn't notice any difference. And I said, you know what? Being perfect is not for me. I mean, I had somebody in the comments, didn't you know that garlic comes from a plant? They said. Because I used a little garlic, salt and pepper. Well, pepper comes from a plant too. I use that on my chicken wings, which I do once every week or two, you know, a little tiny bit of garlic on there because I like that blend seasoning. And sure enough, somebody out there will tell me, you know, they'll correct me. Well, that's a plant and that's not carnivore. Well, come on. You know, I mean, I think after a lifetime of eating the crap that I ate, it hadn't killed me up to now, that what I'm doing right now is as good as it's going to get for me. Like I said, I still smoke my cigars, and anybody doesn't like that, stay away from me.
That's a plan.
I tell the story about my grandfather. My grandfather smoked cigars. They killed him at 102 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And I tell people, I say, yeah, cigars killed my grandfather at 102. And he used to tell us stories. People would say, Harry, aren't you afraid those cigars are going to kill you? And he would say, you know, it's funny you should say that. 30 years ago, my doctor told me that if I didn't quit smoking cigars, I was not going to live another 10 years. And they invariably would say, oh, what does your doctor say now?
He's dead.
And my grandfather would say, I don't know. He died 25 years ago. I'll never forget that. I heard him do that routine, you know, 10 times with people, and I knew what was coming, and I started laughing before he even got the punchline out. But it was true. George Burns, same way. The guy smoked cigars every day of his life. I don't inhale. I never smoked cigarettes. So I don't have a smoker's voice. You know, the deep voice that people get when they smoke because all that smoke going over their vocal cords all their life. Mm-hmm. I don't have that. I never inhaled anything. So I still have a fairly young sounding voice. And I like it. And I think that I actually had a doctor tell me once. He said, you know, he says, I have mixed feelings about the cigars. He said, on one hand, don't chew on them. Don't keep them in your mouth a lot because I've seen mouth cancers. He says, but on the other hand, if you're not chewing on them and you're not inhaling them, the relaxation and the stress relief that you get from sitting down and smoking a cigar, and they last an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. He says, the benefit from that relaxation and stress relief you get far outweighs any other kind of danger that might pose. So in that respect, he said, keep smoking the cigars. I said, would you write that down for me? Give me a prescription. Maybe I can get my insurance company to buy me cigars.
Mitch, I have a question about your freezer. Do you have to drain it?
Well, I haven't yet. No, I mean, I haven't. I've had it for about 8 months now, and I still have, and it's still not, doesn't have enough ice up in there to defrost. But yeah, every once in a while you're supposed to unplug it and has a little drain and defrost it. But
there's no such thing as self-defrosting these big freezers?
Well, there might be, but not for $200 at Best Buy.
Oh, okay.
I mean, and this thing sits outside in my workshop. So it's made to be outside. They make these chest freezers and things because most people put them in their garages, which are not air conditioned. So they're made for being out in the warm and sometimes humid air, but it works great. I check it every day, make sure it's still working. I would hate to lose all that meat. I've got a lot of steaks in there. Garlic is a medicine. You need some medicinal herbs. There you go. Christine Cooper. Thank you for that. I'm glad to see everybody's talking to each other in the chat. That's great. Everybody makes friends.
That's part of the forum that you developed?
Well, no, I want to talk about that. I'm glad you reminded me. Okay, guys, I didn't mention it last week, and I don't know how many of you know about it, but I, in my spare time, built a website for the carnivore community. And it's called oldguycarnivore.com. And let's see if I can do better with this than I did with the last attempt to put something up on the screen here. Here we go. And I need to go to, there we are. This is the website, Old Guy Carnivore. That's me. No shirt. There's me, no shirt. That's when my whole channel took off. When I put a picture of me up with no shirt, all of a sudden the whole thing exploded. So I have to think that if you're a carnivore and you have a YouTube channel like Anthony Chafee and Sean Baker, you gotta show it off a little. So that's elder showing off. That's 76 years old right there. But the web, that's the homepage, and there's a little information on it. And then I just put a forum up there, an old style forum, unlike what you have on all the social media sites. This is actually a forum like we used to use that is hosted on this website, and I'll show you that in a minute. I have on here, this is the menu up here in the corner, and I have Carnivore Basics. And I started to write a book a few months ago before I got in doing the YouTube stuff. And I had the first part of it written, basically the introduction to the book. And I decided there's a lot of good information in there. So I put it on the website, called it Carnivore Basics. And there's quite a bit of information here. Here's a quick start guide, describes what the carnivore diet is, basic rules that I follow doing the carnivore diet, a little section on it's not your fault that you've been hooked in by all this ridiculous stuff. It talks about how your doctor is not really helping you much. And that's it. Just some information to start it off. I had written it. I probably will finish that book one of these days, but not right now. Then over here, it started out with people asking me, where'd you get this? Where'd you get the air fryer? Where'd you get the sous vide thing? Where'd you get this? And where'd you get that? Well, I have a little Amazon affiliates account, and they give me a little commission if I give people a link. So I started giving out links and putting them in the descriptions of the video, and I made a few $100 out of that, and it helped because, like I said, I've spent about $2,000 out of my pocket already in this little adventure of mine. Between the costs of I bought new cameras, I bought some new computer equipment. I had to pay for 3 years of website hosting for this website. All that stuff adds up, and I'm basically just getting by on my Social Security and a little extra income I make. So I said, okay, maybe I don't want to charge people. I don't want to have any private things you got to pay to be a member of. I said, I don't mind if people want to buy the stuff I'm using. It doesn't cost them any more if they buy it through my link. The only person that it actually costs is Jeff Bezos, because he has to share some of his little bit of profit with me. And I said, I don't think anybody out there would really mind if Jeff Bezos made a little less money. So what I did is on the website here, I actually put all of the things on there that I use and made them with the pictures and everything. And all you need to do is click on any of these things. And it's in supplements, food and pantry staples, kitchen and small appliances and tools, T-shirts I wear. I'm also working on a deal to have some Old Guy Carnivore T-shirts, with things like take the rest of the day off, eat meat, things like that on it. So we'll see what that happens. Here's all the products. Here's the ghee I use, the pork rind crumbs, the different salts, the Kinder seasoning, the FoodSaver. These are the ones that I use. This is the frying pan that I use, the air fryer. Here's the sous vide basket. There's the sous vide machine. Somebody asked me, where did I get the little, that's only like $10 or $11. This infrared temperature gun to tell how hot a pan is, the little bacon grease thing, my electric salt shaker, the meter probe, these T-shirts that I wear. And a number of people ask me what cameras I use to film my videos. So I put the links to the cameras up. So if anybody needs to buy any of this stuff, you'd be helping me out a little bit by buying it through these links, and it won't cost you any more. So it's on the website, so you don't have to go digging in the descriptions of the video. It's just oldguycarnivore.com, all one word. And then I have a page on here that is about my YouTube channel, so people can subscribe, in my Twitter link. And then there's a page about me, and I put a link to a video that talks about me, and it's the one with all the pictures of me when I was heavier and everything. And then down here is the community forum. And the community forum is a good old forum where people can, and we've got 61 people signed up for it already, 109 posts. Just started this last week. And yeah, it takes a little while to learn, your way around it, but people post things that and start conversations and talk to each other, kind of like you would on social media. And it's there. I look at it every day or so. I'm not spending a lot of time in it, but a lot of people seem to be enjoying it. So it's on the website as well. So that's it. That's the website. And
got a quick question in the comment.
Yes.
Well, he says, working third shift, should I fast or should I eat?
Well,
Bill MC. And then somebody, while you're there, and thought, do you ever sleep?
Do I ever sleep? I sleep
That was one of the questions.
I sleep 6 hours a night, every night. I go to bed at 10. I get up at 4. I don't have an alarm. It's like a clock. I'm within 1 minute of 4 o'clock in the morning. My eyes open and I spring up. I just spring right out of bed. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. And on the weekdays, my gym opens at 5 o'clock. I don't like to be the first person in there because you get a little rush at 5 of people that have to get to work. So they all head for all the same machines that I want to use. So I wait till about 5:30. I leave for the gym. Yeah, I get 6 hours, and I don't need an hour more. I never get tired. I never take naps. I have more energy than a 76-year-old man should have. It's uncanny, and I'm loving it. And nothing hurts, no pain. I never feel sore after a workout. I don't even have to recover. I could go every day and do a full workout. I don't. I work out three to 4 days a week. Every other day I go and I do upper body, legs, and abs. And on the days when I'm not doing that, I usually go for a 2-3 mile walk. And takes me about an hour of exercise every other day and an hour to walk. And that's not a tremendous amount of time to invest to see the results that I've seen in the past 6 months or 7 months. It's been incredible. Now the question about, do you need to fast? I'm an intermittent faster myself. I fast every day for 19-20 hours. I only eat for 4 hours, maybe 5, from start to finish. And I split it into 2 meals. So I've got a good 3 hours in between for everything to digest from the meal before. A lot of these people are doing these 2-day fasts and 3-day fasts. And I think that's a good thing if you have a lot of weight to lose. At this point, I fast for my health. I'm not certainly at 138 pounds. I'm not interested in losing any more weight. My body weight is stabilized between 138 and 140, goes up and down a little bit. And I'm not trying to lose weight, so I don't fast. I have fasted for 48 hours a couple times, lost 2 or 3 pounds doing it. But as soon as I started eating again, that 2 or 3 pounds came right back on. So it was not done to lose weight. I think if you're just starting carnivore, like I say, in my opinion, the most important single thing for you to do, especially if you're a food addict, is not to allow yourself to get hungry at all. And that means fasting is probably not a great idea. And I don't recommend fasting to anybody starting right out. I think that you should nourish your body, overnourish your body, eat more food, if anything, for the first 30 days. I see a comment.
Question by Victory She
Wait a minute.
wanted,
Let me
oh,
finish this last
I'm
one.
sorry.
So, I don't know your own personal situation, what your goals are, how far along you are, how much weight you have to lose, and a lot of that stuff. Those are variables that really would enter into a proper answer for whether fasting would be right for you. I would just say, listen to your body. If you're not hungry, you could fast, or you couldn't eat, because if you're not hungry, don't eat. When you get hungry, eat. And eat until you don't want to eat anymore. And that's the greatest rule about carnivore is there's no rules. Your body tells you exactly what you should do. If you can get over the cravings and the emotional eating, which is what ruins most people, they eat as a stress relief. They eat as a form of pleasure and enjoyment instead of eating just for nourishment. It becomes an obsession with food. And most people, I call it lead a food-centric life. You know, most of their activities revolve around food. Most of their thoughts are, what am I going to eat next? Most of their fears are, what happens if I can't get food? When you finally get established on this primal way of living, food goes to the back of your mind. And when your body wants food, you start to feel hungry, but you don't ever feel starving. That's the amazing difference. You don't have sugar roller coasters, so you don't feel like, oh my God, I'm starving. If I don't eat in the next hour, I'm going to die. I haven't had that in over a year. That feeling. The way I feel now is I start to get a little inkling that I could eat something. But if I'm busy, I'll eat later. And if later comes along and I haven't eaten and I'll say, well, yeah, the hell, I'll eat tomorrow. I could never do that kind of thing before because my body is running on fat as fuel. And even as little as I weigh, I've still got 15% body fat. So I got enough fat to last me, a month or so. If I couldn't find food, I would live. I'd get skinny, but I would still live. I wouldn't die of starvation. That's for sure. Okay.
Somebody wanted to know about eggshells. What's your opinion on crushed powdered eggshells?
I think, well, I guess it's for the calcium, but I don't do it. I don't, I might get an eggshell in my omelet every once in a while and I chew it up and eat it, but I don't go out of my way. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I think it's probably good. I think I get enough calcium between the electrolyte supplement that I take and in the food I eat. I do use a drop of iodine every morning in my first cup of coffee. So you get up at 4 and eat at noon and 3. Correct. Fury. That's it. I don't eat anything. I work out fasted. I work out always fasted. So I haven't, when I go to work out at 5 a.m, I have not eaten since 3 or 4 the following day. Not eaten anything. I drink maybe some water, and that's about it. And I don't drink coffee after 2 o'clock. And I drink 1 or 2 cups with caffeine and maybe a third cup decaf. And that's it. And I'm always satisfied. And I never think about food, and I never feel like I'm being deprived of anything. And interestingly enough, I look forward to the food I eat. I mean, I look forward to a hamburger patty as much as I used to look forward to steak and lobster. I went to my son's house over the weekend for dinner, and he's a good cook, and he usually cooks something really nice. But it was a last minute thing he didn't have, so he threw some hamburger patties on the grill outside, and he apologized all over the place to me. It's just hamburger, Dad. I hope it's okay. And I looked at him and I said, "Are you kidding me? That hamburger to me is as desirable and as good as a lobster and steak. To me, it's delicious. It's fabulous. It's exactly what I want." And that's what happens to you. You tell people this, they look at you like you're from Mars. How could that possibly be? Because they've been so long eating such trash that they can't possibly understand what happens when you become detached and separated from that desire for food constantly. And the reason I think that happens, and I've said this many times, is because probably for the first time in your entire life, I know for the first time in my life, I was completely nourishing my body and giving it virtually everything it needed to do its job. And I think there's always been something missing no matter what I did in the past. And that always showed up as hunger, because the body needed something that it wasn't getting. So you're constantly driven to eat anything and everything in the hopes that maybe whatever it is that's missing might be in there. But when you start eating heavy red meat and eggs and bacon and all that stuff, every nutrient is in there, every nutrient. And I think for a lot of people doing this might be the first time in their life where they're actually fully nourished. And I think that's why the results are so astounding. What else we got?
Somebody wants to know what branch of the armed forces you were in. It's like 2 or 3 times they asked the same.
I was in the Army. I was in the Army Security Agency, ASA. We were basically electronic snoops and spies. We spied on the Russians and recorded everything that was broadcast in the Soviet Union every day on every band and frequency. So I spent Germany and Turkey as I was over there. I was in for 4 years, had the time of my life.
Somebody wanted to know, how many burgers did you eat at your son's place?
I ate 3. I ate 3 burgers. Oh no, he had sausages too. He had some sausage, so I ate 2 burgers and a sausage.
Basically, when you eat,
that was plenty of food too.
When you eat breakfast, like I've been making a half a pound of chopped meat and 3 eggs. Is that what you do, or you eat more eggs or more meat?
I eat about a half a pound of bacon, and I eat 5, sometimes 6 eggs.
Really? Wow.
So I see a question here. Where did I go for basic? I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey, because I'm from Philly, so it's right across the river. I went up to Fort Devens, Massachusetts for AIT after that, and then they shipped me over to Turkey. I stayed in Turkey for a year, and then they sent me to Germany. I was there for 2 years. Then I ended up in Northern Virginia, where I got out. I was in for 4 years total. And I never made it to Vietnam. I enlisted for 4 years with a guarantee of no Vietnam, because that was right in the middle. I went in 1966, which was right in the middle of the Vietnam nonsense.
That's scary.
Furious says, I think keto and carnivore people are as obsessed, but in a more positive way, mentally and physically. Oh, we're obsessed though, right? Mankind has been on a quest to find the fountain of youth since Ponce de Leon. I think we have gotten closer to the concept of the fountain of youth with this diet than humans have ever before. I really believe that, and I wouldn't have believed it a couple of years ago, but it does something to you, and it's real. It's not just a placebo effect where you think it's happening. It really happened, and I prove that to myself every time I go into the gym. It's unbelievable. I wish I had discovered this when I was 20 years old. My whole life would have been different.
Cod liver oil, do you recommend it? If so, liquid or pills? I'm not really qualified to recommend those things. I think it probably is a good thing if you can stand the taste of it. They used to, when I was a kid, that was, they made you take that when you misbehaved. It was a punishment. Ken Berry recommends it, I believe. And you can, he's got a tremendous wealth of videos on his channel. You can just go into YouTube and search box and put Dr. Berry cod liver oil, and he'll probably come up with a video about it. So Scott's Emulsion. I remember my mom giving us that. It was some of that stuff was, some of the cough medicines like Paragard. Some of that stuff tasted so bad. What else we got here?
Canned cod livers and hard-boiled eggs, yum. Yeah, a lot of people like that. I eat the little canned sardines. I mix them with omelets. I made a video about that. And I try to do that about once a week because I think there's some essential fats, stuff, you know, the omega-3s that you just maybe not getting enough elsewhere, especially with farm raised fish, which seems to be what you find in most places now. And God knows what kind of garbage they feed those fish. EPA and DHA, you know, you need those omega-3 fatty acids. Sardines, being small fish, have not eaten a lot of mercury. So you're not going to get any amount of mercury from the small, tiny little fish. They eat algae. And then the big fish eat them, and then the bigger fish eat those fish. And every time a fish eats a fish, the mercury that's in that fish just accumulates. And by the time you get up to a gigantic tuna, you got a ton of mercury. So eating the big fish, you have a detriment about mercury. Eating the small little fish like sardines and anchovies, you don't have to worry about the mercury. So, and it's cheaper. I mean, you go into Aldi and you get a 4-ounce, I think a 3 or 4 ounce tin of those sardines for $1, you know, so $1. So you take the whole tin, and I chop it up and put it in with 5 eggs, which, well, that was 5 eggs cost $2 tops. If you're buying pasture raised eggs for $4 a dozen, 4.5 a dozen, so you eat 5 of those, you $2 worth of eggs, buck worth of sardines. You got a hell of a nourishing breakfast for $3. And they say that, you know, this is too expensive a diet. You go out to Starbucks and get a biscotti and a cup of coffee, $8. And these are the people that are telling us that, you know, we're eating tremendously nourishing food for breakfast, costs $3. You eat a pound and a half of hamburger. So that costs you $6 and that's a hell of a meal. That's a pound and a half of meat. Yeah, if you have to eat retail ribeyes all the time, you still probably aren't going to spend as much as you would if you went out and ate in a restaurant every night. God, if you ordered a pizza from Papa John's delivered to your house, it's going to be $20, $25.
Yep.
I can understand why people think it's expensive, but you're just not eating that much food either. You know, you see these vegans. We have a supermarket called Downtown Produce around the corner from where I live. The vegans love that place because they have got a spread of every kind of vegetable, salad material. I mean, it's crazy. And I go in there sometimes because they get a pasture raised eggs right from a local farmer. He's got a deal with them. And they charge like $4 or $5 a dozen for them, but they're really legitimate. They're the real deal eggs, you know, the big brown eggs that come right from pasture raised chickens from a farm that's down the road, you know. And I buy these eggs in there. So I've got in my shopping cart, I've got 2 or 3 dozen eggs. And I get in line behind one of these women who's a vegan. And they got 50 little plastic bags in their shopping cart. They got a little this sprouts in that bag and a little, 50 different kinds of vegetables. And they're going to take those home and they're going to spend half the morning preparing all that friggin' landscaping that they bought and to eat a salad that has virtually no nutrition whatsoever. And I take my eggs and go home and I eat 4 or 5 eggs. And most of you already have heard this. It's the perfect multivitamin. You cannot get a better dose of virtually everything that you need as a human being as you can from an egg. Everything that's required to build a chicken is in that egg. It's in a shell. It's contained within, it's a capsule. It can't. When that chicken comes out, everything that chicken is made of started in that egg. And it's in exactly the right ratios to each other, of fat to protein to vitamins to minerals to everything that's needed to build a living thing. And you can eat that for 25, 30 cents. It's absolutely incredible. And Tufts University tells me in their food compass, which we went over earlier, and maybe some of the people that are here now didn't see that, they tell me that a bowl of Lucky Charms is 5 times as nutritious for me as that egg cooked in butter. And that's the conventional wisdom. And it is sick and disgusting and stupid. And everybody believes it. And they want to believe it because they're addicted to the Lucky Charms. You know what I mean? They're addicted to that stuff. That's candy for them. Breakfast cereals are pure sugar. Between the starches, the grains, and the added sugars, it's all sugar. No nutrition. Nothing but empty calories and chemicals that come from the grains, the lectins, the oxalates, the anti-nutrients, and all the stuff that just screws your health up. You get that as an added bonus to the sugar that turns you into a diabetic and puts pounds on you. And that, according to Tufts University, is the perfect nutrition, right at the top of the list. It's nuts. It's nuts. How can it? And they get away with it and nobody calls them on it because they got so much money. They got so much money behind them. So much money behind them. They don't dare upset the people that are paying all their bills. The media is the same way. All of these big companies, drug companies. Have you noticed in the past 3 or 4 years, the amount of drug advertisements you see on TV now is going out of sight. So all of these big networks, CNN, NBC, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, they're all supported by the big food companies and big pharma. If those companies were to pull their advertising from any of those networks would fold. Okay. They cannot put out a message that their sponsors won't like. So the messaging that we're getting from the universities, which are endowed by these big companies, the medical schools that are teaching the doctors are endowed by all of these big schools. The politicians that are making the recommendations of food pyramid are all supported in their re-election campaigns by these big companies. This advice that's out there is totally wrong, but it's bought and paid for. Everybody involved in that industry, from the people that pick that harvest the wheat to the people that stock the breakfast cereal, are basically on the payroll of these companies and don't dare bite the hand that feeds them. And that perpetuates the bad news. And who's suffering? We're suffering because of it, getting sicker and sicker, fatter and fatter. It's disgusting. And how do you change it? And all you can do is just decide, I'm taking my football and I'm going home. I'm not going to play this game anymore. And when somebody tells you what you're doing is bad for you, just smile at them, because you're never going to change their mind. So just smile at them and look at them and say, maybe, and walk away, because you can't engage and you can't fight. What else we got, Carlos? Anything else? We're coming on 2 hours here.
If you're eating, your salt doesn't have iodine, how do you get your iodine?
Well, I wouldn't use iodized salt. I use 2 kinds of salt. I use the Himalayan pink salt. And I think I found a legitimate one, because some of that stuff out there comes from places you don't want. And I use Redmond's real salt. And neither one of those has iodine in them. And I take iodine. I take the Lugol's 2%. Get it on Amazon. Got links all over the place on my website down below. It's not expensive. Use 1 drop. Comes with an eyedropper. Some people make the mistake and squirt the whole eyedropper in. That's a little too much iodine. Yeah. 1 drop is 1,500 micrograms, which is more than you need, more than anybody needs. Some people use 2 drops. You're not going to OD on iodine. You'll just pee out whatever you don't need. But 1 or 2 drops a day in your coffee, because the sources of iodine that used to be in the grass the cows ate. It used to be in the soil the grass grew in. And if it was in the soil, it went into the grass. If it was in the grass, it went into the cow. If it was in the cow, it went into you. Okay. But the soils these days are getting more and more depleted, and the cows are being fed grains, finished on grains, and there's no iodine in them. So even eating the best sources of food, you still may not be getting. So I take 1 drop a day. I put it in my coffee in the morning. You don't taste it or anything. You don't even know it's there. But I do take 1 drop every morning. I take a little extra magnesium every day. And electrolytes. And that's the only thing that I actually take. I thought early on in carnivore, maybe I'll just take a 1 a day or something. But then I looked into 1 a day and looked at what's in it. And I said, I'm better off without all that crap that's in there. So big storm approaching here in North Florida. We'll have to go offline and unplug. Hundreds of light. Well, thanks for coming, my friend. I'm used to those storms in Florida here, so it'll pass. It'll pass. Chris Hope is here. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Chris found a steak emoji. Look at him. Holy cow, I have to look for that one. You see that, Carlos?
I think if you type the word, it might come out on your cell phone.
That's cool. Chris is my old drone buddy. Chris said hello to you, Carlos.
I said hello back.
Okay. And
I'm on it, kid.
I'm really glad to see everybody's chatting with each other. We had a good crowd in here tonight. People are starting to get a little tired of me, and I'm starting to get a little tired myself. It's 9 o'clock and
almost bedtime.
So I think if anybody's got any last minute things, put them in the chat. I think that 2 hours is more than enough of me. I hope you all enjoyed it. I loved it. I really, really like doing this. And I hope I was able to say something that meant something to somebody and didn't just ramble on for 2 hours. But
you inspired many.
I hope so. I hope so. And thank you guys for the super chats. I appreciate that. And I see that COA 106 has given me the rest of the day off. Thank you. Thank you. Keep the compliments coming. I like it. I like it. Yeah, I don't know about the steak emoji. I'll have to find. That's a great one. That's a great one. And everybody that was here, we had a lot of people in and out, I think, and we still got 100 and something of them, but it's getting late. So we're gonna call it. I'm gonna say goodnight to Carlos.
Good night, sir.
Okay, my friend.
It's been fun.
Thanks for the help.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone. I'm out.
Okay.
Good night.
See you next week. All right, that leaves just me, and I think I'm going to try something here. I'm going to try. Hey, how about that? Got a little music to play me out. It's been great, guys. Really great. I'm probably going to put out a video tomorrow. I have a few ideas. Probably tomorrow, late in the afternoon, I'll have it. If not, it'll be the next day. I've decided to do this a little more relaxed, and that way I can sustain it. And I want to sustain it. I want to keep this up for as long as I'm around. I told you I want to be 100 years old sitting behind the same microphone. So hopefully we'll get there. Everybody, you all have a one-arm push-up, he says. Nah, I'm not up to that yet, but I can do it. I'll do it next week. You tune in. You make sure you're here 5 minutes early, and I will get down on the floor and do it. 20, 25 push-ups for you, just so you know that I didn't Photoshop my face on somebody else doing push-ups, okay? And with that, I think I'm going to call it a night. And we will see you next time. I know it's late, but you can still take the rest of the day off. And make sure you eat meat.